Marketing 4.0, offering immersive customer experience with new CRM and marketing automation tools. All right, so welcome with a loud round of applause someone who has 20 years of FMCG industry experience across diverse roles. His roles have given him diverse problem-solving experiences ranging from successful turnarounds of complex consumer businesses categories to setting up high-growth businesses from scratch. Please welcome our moderator, Country Head India, Consumer Health, buyer, Mr. Sandeep Verma. Loud round of applause at home. Keep the applause coming. Welcome, sir. Moving on, we welcome right now someone who is the founder and CEO of Enlighten, and she is Miss Natalie Schooling. A loud round of applause as we welcome her onto our virtual screens right now. Someone who is an experienced customer service strategist, trainer and improvement specialist with more than 25 years of experience in the customer service and experience industry. Welcome, Natalie. As she joins us on screen, we welcome someone who comes with 13 plus years of experience at leading global and a mix of technology and marketing, extremely passionate about mobile phones, internet and travel. We welcome Director Marketing, Head Digital Marketing, CLM and Loyalty Programs, Make My Trip, Make It Loud, as we welcome Mr. Somil Agrawal. A loud round of applause as we now invite onto our screen someone who is an experienced banker with more than 3 decades of diverse experience in varied areas like commercial banking, development banking, etc. Please welcome Chief Customer Service Officer, Bank of Maharashtra, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Mishra. Loud round of applause. Joining us next is someone who has over 1.5 decades of experience in critical aspects of business across various business functions. We welcome Director Marketing and Business Development, Schneider Electric. Please welcome Mr. Piyush Rajpal. He joins us on screen with a wave. Welcome, sir. Up next, we have someone who is a seasoned marketing professional with qualitative experience acquired over the years in new product development and launches, amongst many others. Please welcome Senior Vice President Marketing, Landmark Group, Mr. Jitin Mahendra. I've got the applause coming. I hope you do as well, as we welcome someone who has a versatile experience spanning over 2 decades of traditional and digital marketing, corporate communications and CSR. Senior Vice President Marketing and Corporate Communication, ICICI Lombard General Insurance Company Limited. With us on screen, put your hands together for Mr. Girish Kalra. Welcome, sir. And finally, our panel is going to be complete as we welcome someone who has over 20 years of experience in marketing and sales across various geographies and categories such as beauty and fashion, retail, consumer goods and automobiles. With us, Director Marketing and Communications, McDonald's India. Please welcome Mr. Arvind RP. Welcome. All right, on screen are our panelists. We are now inviting our moderator to take over and lead us into an exciting panel discussion. Mr. Sandeep Verma, sir.
Thanks a lot, Kesha. Thank you so much to the entire event management team for calling all of us over. It's always a pleasure to be a part of Customer Fest per se. I've been doing it for some time now. Given that we are running quite behind time, I will try and manage the whole session within the next 50 minutes. So I hope some of you guys can stay with us for 50 minutes. In case you have to drop out, just let me know by a show of hands or whatever. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you guys can all stay here till 2:45. Is that okay? Or does somebody have to drop out? Just show me your hand in case you have to drop out. You have to drop out? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Are you okay with 2:30?
Yeah.
Piyush, Arvind, and Natalie, you're okay with
yeah.
with 2:30? Okay, fine. I'll keep that in mind. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I think extremely exciting topic per se, and I'm sure all of you are aware where the term marketing 4.0 has come from. So it's basically been given by Professor Philip Kotler. I guess all of us are aware of who Philip Kotler is, unless you've been living under a rock or you don't know what marketing is. So essentially, marketing 4.0, the way he sort of defined it and the way it's sort of been taken forward is essentially a marketing approach that combines online and offline interaction between companies and customer. And that's why the whole theme of CRM, and customer interaction becomes such an important part of marketing 4.0 per se. So in the digital economy, interestingly, digital interaction alone is not sufficient. I think one big case in point is what happened with our group today. While we are doing a virtual session, etc., I think some simple basic things of time management was probably could have been done a little bit better so that we would have had all our panelists here for the entire duration of time. But in digital economy, just having digital interaction alone is not sufficient. So in fact, in an increasingly online world, I think offline touch sometimes represents a very strong differentiation. I remember seeing an advertisement for a bank, I think, I'm not sure which bank it was, which said that our customer helpline has humans behind it and not a chatbot. That was very interesting for me. So, in fact, in an increasingly online world, that's how this part is actually now getting in becoming an area of differentiation. And marketing 4.0 also blends a lot of style with substance. So while it is imperative for brands to be more flexible and adaptive to technologies, I think the authenticity of the brand should not be lost, and it's actually become even more important going forward. So that, in a nutshell, is how I think marketing 4.0, what I think marketing 4.0 is all about. We have a very diverse panel of speakers here, from McDonald's to banks to insurance to founder, and I think it will hence be very interesting for us to get their views on this theme across their respective industries. So I think my first question to all the panelists would be a simple: what does marketing 4.0 mean for you and for your industry? I think let me just start by giving an answer for my industry, which is FMCG. So we believe that marketing 4.0 is essentially mobilizing a new kind of consumer, new type of consumer who wants a very seamless, fast, and efficient shopping experience, and someone who's looking for products that are more personalized than ever before. For the retailers, for the people who are selling these products, these preferences can either be addressed through multi-channel offerings, a combination of online and physical, and depending on the preferences on any given day, the consumer can actually switch between these multiple channels at ease. So in a multi-channel environment, enhanced product tracking and transparency leads to improved consumer services. So that's the belief that guides the whole role of marketing 4.0 in an FMCG world. The other aspect, which I'll very quickly touch upon, which is something probably true for all of us, all our industries, is if you look at it, there are four or five key technologies which are currently at different stages in terms of the level of readiness, adoption across various industry sectors. And it will be interesting to understand from you how these technologies have been adopted in your industry sector. But these are all expected to significantly affect the way businesses think or going forward. Yeah, both individually as well as in a combination. And these five technologies would be Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, enterprise wearables, and additive manufacturing. So it will be interesting for me to understand how the technology adoption is across your different industries and your different sectors. And I think a very interesting point which was raised by Natalie in our WhatsApp group, which I think you guys can maybe address towards the end of your 5 minutes, is what happens when technology fails? So what are those mechanisms you guys have across your industry? So without any further delay, let me just start by asking you guys, what does marketing 4.0 mean for your respective industry and your respective sector? And maybe I can start with you, Piyush, for no other reason except that your picture is next to mine. So thank you so much. Piyush, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for making me the first speaker. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Um, so I come from an organization which is more on the B2B space. And just to give you a context, we are omni-channel. So we are at multiple places of the whole value chain or the distribution chain, and hence it becomes much more important for an organization to scale up in all the avenues of digitization. Now, if I take a step back, I also have a fundamental question here, which organization is not going digital? I think almost all the organizations have specific spends defined for digital, and especially in the marketing space where we're talking about, creating, customer stickiness around us. How do we create more customers getting into our web, or creating brand awareness, and how do we, create that the active user space, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annually. Now, if I take example of my organization, which is into manufacturing and giving a lot of solutions to industries, I think how things have changed, and pandemic has been, I would not say it's a blessing in disguise. I would say it was bad for all of us, but for organization like us or in the manufacturing field, the things have sped up. The investments, the spends on digital space has improved and increased. And as marketers, we have always talked about mix, and mix has predominantly been around with us for quite some time. That's on the product side. But now the things have changed, and mix no longer are products, but they are mix of products, mix of geographies to cover the products. There are no more SKUs for us. There are no more SKUs, but we are talking of more of experiential mix. We believe in creating a lot of promotions, but now promotions have gone really aspirational, and that's too happening in real time because we have the matrices now. And as an organization with a lot of digital collaboration, the geographical distances have diminished. Now we are more global. We are talking of global collaboration on innovation, as a matter of fact. So brands have actually evolved of late, and marketing 4.0 or leveraging these technological tools have have been a boom in terms of building communities. So we have built a lot of communities, a lot of opinion leaderships that have joined together to win customers in the real platform. Hence, there is a commitment shift from individual to individual to the society, and the social adoption has improved the spending in avenues that never existed. So we are getting into new revenue streams that never had existed in past. So we are testing new waters. We are connected, and we are inexpensive at this point in time. So these are a couple of views when it comes to my field, which is more of manufacturing and digitization in the industries. So over to you, Sandeep.
Thanks a lot, Piyush. So I'll come to you. I have a very glaring question for you, but I'll come to you a little bit later. Arvind, how does McDonald's look at it? What does marketing 4.0 mean for McDonald's?
Thank you, Sandeep. I hope I'm audible. Answering your question in three parts. The first, of course, is the fact that the premise one has is that the customers are already omni-channel, or rather, more accurately, a significant part of the customers are already omni-channel, right? And especially the digital adoption in the recent past, has significantly gone up. So in that context, how can the brands stitch up those seamless consumer journeys, right? I think that's one aspect. Given that the fact that customers are omni-channel, they order McDonald's online, they order it on, let's say, Swiggy, Zomato, or they can come to a store, right? So that consumer journey is a very, very important part of our consumer experience. The second part of it, second dimension of it, is how can we use these tools, technology, solutions to make it very easy for the consumer, make the brand even more accessible for this consumer. McDonald's being a very democratic brand, this angle of thinking is very, very important. End of the day, it's a broad-based brand. And these solutions, these technologies will go a long way in making it easy for the consumer to access the brand when he or she needs it. The third dimension is in terms of consumer experience at our stores, right? In the end of, we are a restaurant brand, right? And we have a very large retail footprint. And we have done various pilots over the recent past, introduced some global playbooks, as well as developing something specific for India. All these technology solutions can go a long way in enhancing consumer experience at retail. providing touch points at our store. For example, a small example is digital ordering kiosks at our stores, right? Instead of going to the front counter and ordering, you could pick up your own menu, browse to the menu, and order it yourself, right? And it's not only win-win from a customer perspective, but also great from a business perspective. So simply because you don't have to stand in a long line and so on and so forth. So those are simple examples, but there are other evolved examples and pilots we are doing, all to kind of elevate the consumer experience at retail. I think all of these three would kind of go a long way in elevating the brand and making it much more modern and relevant. Thanks, Sandeep.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Arvind. Jiten, your first thoughts on marketing 4.0 and your industry.
Hi Sandeep. Hi everyone.
Hi.
I work for Landmark Group and I represent Max Fashion, which is a fashion apparel brand, and we operate to a larger geography. So we operate around 105 odd cities in the country, and I think one of the most important thing which we are witnessing, like all of us, is that it's becoming more customer centric than what it was actually. So ideally, we have always been saying that marketing is all about customer in the center, but somewhere it became more channel centric, it became more product centric, and now again it's coming back. So the whole definition of a channel centric, which is more transactional based loyalty, where we are giving points to a customer on purchasing of something, is completely going through a complete experiential driven loyalty. So it's now know about, so if you look at a classical segmentation, most of the businesses, it will be all about your past purchase behavior and the ticket size and what you have bought. Now that itself is not relevant in the current scenario because the customer is interacting with the brands across the various things. And I think one point which Arvind mentioned, and it is my favorite point, that businesses are not becoming omni-channel. Customer is forcing the businesses to become omni-channel. So it is not a business initiative of being omni, it's that the customer has become omni. So we, all of us, are forced to become omni. And now in this journey, some brands went on to the whole digital space thinking about acquiring new customers. So they thought that, okay, let me keep the core customer in my conventional brick and mortar or distribution and try to acquire in a discounted format a newer customer. Some brands treated digital as more of a factory outlet where liquidating, certain things which was not selling, and they created separate labels or products so that they can operate at different price points and so on and so on. Now all that is coming back and hitting strongly because everything is getting merged. So now, if you look at from our point of view, from a B&M, which is a brick and mortar store point of view, for us to acquire new customer, it is far cheaper when it comes to the physical store. As you all know, e-commerce and performance marketing takes away a lot of energy in terms of acquiring new customer. But the fact of the matter is that the profitability is far higher in the B&M space vis-a-vis the e-commerce space. To merge these two and to create a proposition which is customer centric is where the businesses are working on. I think the technology has to play a very important role, whether it is in form of a implementation of a CDP, because now the customer data points is going across the system. So there is a e-commerce team, there is a WhatsApp channel which is built up, there is a store channel, there are marketplace in which we operate. So all this have to come together, and that's what I think a lot of us are working right now on. And I think one of the most important thing what I felt, and this was surprising to me, we did a quick, research, qualitative research with our loyal customers. And we asked them that, because during this period of time, our loyalty customer contribution was almost 85%. Because there was no new customer coming in, our loyal customer were repeating. And whatever new initiatives we have taken, whether it is fashion on wheel or whether we are going to an apartment, everything, we were actually catering to our loyal customer only. So they were only coming and buying the brand in various avenues. So one important thing which came up is that the customer is able to differentiate between a loyalty program and a reward program. The customer says that you guys are running a reward program and not a loyalty program. So this whole definition of points and next purchase you will get this, the customer has seen through it and has understood the whole gamification of loyalty what we have done. And that's I think going to become a bigger challenge for all of us. And unifying the customer experience, ensuring that the brand is able to speak consistently across the channel, is something which I think is a greater conversation from our industry, and I think that's what we are working on right now.
Thanks a lot, Jitin. I think it's quite striking how a lot of your thoughts match what Arvind was saying, whether it was, and also what I was saying right in the beginning, which was the last point you made, for example, on the authenticity, the importance of brand retaining, what it is and not changing itself across the different touch points. And I hear you on the reward point and the loyalty thing. And my personal view is also the same, that they are basically one and the same thing. And also very interesting to hear the whole omni-channel point, that it's not businesses are becoming omni-channel. They are being forced to become that by the end user, by the consumer and the customer. I'll come back to both of you on these 2 points in my next question. Yeah. Natalie, you want to go next? Your thoughts and your views in marketing 4.0.
So, Jitin, I think Landmark should give you an increase. So you speak totally my language. So a quick background. I started in Latin 16 years ago when people still spoke about customer service, and obviously we know that it's around experience. And I think my contribution to everybody out there all over the world is when we talk about digitization 4.0, it's also around the Industrial Revolution and how everything's around tech and everything's digital. And yes, absolutely, the more digital we can go, the better, so long as it actually works. Okay, so while we are still, while there's still many glitches in the system, so for example, if you have ordered something online and it doesn't arrive, is there a number on your website, okay, that you can call, that it's clear, that you don't have to go through millions of frequently asked questions? Okay, so the whole thing with the fourth industrial revolution and the way that businesses will succeed or fail will be depending on their ability to personalize. Okay, so this is really important, guys, to personalize the experience for that particular customer. So it's about gathering the data to understand the customer behavior. So, and there are loads of ways to cross-sell and on-sell. And as Jeetan just said, people are, we're the cleverest we've ever been, okay, in the whole world. We know everything. We can Google anything. There are peer reviews. You can fool us for some of the time, but not too long, okay? So it has to be authentic. So if you're going to offer a special or a loyalty program, it really does need to be a true thank you to someone for giving them your business, and also to be able to continually keep yourself fresh in terms of in this world of digital. So again, I go back to ordering something online, and if you're a frequent customer, that good old handwritten note to say, it's amazing that you're still shopping with us. We're so grateful. So it's how you personalize things in the digital world that will really set you apart in the years to come. I know we're running short, so I don't want to take up too much time. If there are any other questions, Sandeep?
There will be other questions, but I think in the initial flush, I just wanted your top of mind thoughts. So if there's anything else you want to say, please go ahead.
No, so I just kind of wanted to, because you can get so wrapped up in digital and tech, etc. But if it's got a veneer of true understanding of your customer and passion for serving your customer, then you really are heading in the right way.
Let me try and, I can't answer the question, but let me try and give you my views. And I think when I started talking about marketing 4.0, that was the first thing which I said, that marketing 4.0 is not about digital. It is about online and offline, and how you interact with your consumers using both. So I think one big example of that is, you spoke about the data, the amount of data that you have right now, and there are volumes and volumes of data that all of us, all of the industries have, all industries, all companies. But do you have the right volume? So right volume you may have. Do you have the right variety of data? Okay. Do you have the right velocity of data? And then how do you use that? Can you use it later on for some data analysis, and then use it to personalize your offering to the consumer, which is what you're actually talking about. And I think personalization is not a trend which has started now. Look at what used to happen 20 years ago, when, or even further back. Hand produced things have always had a higher value. Hand produced cars, hand produced sculptures, they've always had a much higher value as compared to mass produced stuff. And I don't think this trend of personalization is any different. It just tells the consumer that you've taken an extra effort to help please her. Yeah. So thanks a lot, Natalie, for your thoughts. I think very, very good thoughts. Pradeep ji, do you want to go next and tell us about marketing 4.0 for you and for your industry?
Yeah, it's me now.
Yes.
Yeah. As you know, I'm a banker, so I will be bringing the banker's perspective on this marketing 4.0. So you see, incidentally, 4.0 talks about migration from traditional to digital world, and also, as Sandeep pointed out, as to how are you going to manage your transactions offline and online in a business setup. So basically, you'll see the banks have been the largest investor in the IT infrastructure. And so they have corresponded with the changes in the IT as it has taken place. Look, IT boom, 90s, you have CBS. Internet banking comes with the internet boom. Smartphones, you bring the anywhere banking. And now at the edge of 2021, now we are having the technology of analytics and big data, which is going to transform banks in a big way. So we see what is happening, that with the permeation of technology across the banks, you will find that there's an organizational focus on pre-designing products which would offer personalized and customized service to the customers. Now, this is something which in a traditional banking mode was not really possible. You've all seen banking in the earlier days. It was not possible. So now what has happened, that brick and mortar structure of a bank is under a threat. In fact, it is going to become redundant. There's a book called Bank 3.0 and Bank 4.0. You will find that they are talking that in about 20 years' time, you'll find hardly any brick and mortar structure of bank is existing. So this digital-based strategy also has an advantage for the banks, that they cost less. You'll be one information I would like to give you. You see, when you come to, I'm talking about in the context of Indian banks. So when you come to a bank for a transaction, personally, it costs banks almost as high as 60 to 70 rupees per transaction. But if you do an internet banking transaction, the cost comes down to about 3 rupees. And if it is a mobile transaction, the cost comes to less than a rupee. So you see, going digital means that you are reducing the cost also, and that means a lot for the banks. So the key components of marketing 4.0 for the banks will be basically the innovation. We have to innovate. We have to this process innovation, product innovation, and innovation across the entire range of activities. Speed is very important, and that will also depend on the network infrastructure, communication infrastructure that comes out of the country. Like 5G is giving us a lot of hopes that new products, new services will be able to be placed by the banks. The real-time information system. Now, customer is asking for that, especially the millennials and the Generation X customers, they don't have time, so they will be looking for real-time information and efficient risk management, because banking digitization has raised a lot of risk, cyber threats, data security. So that is, you see, banking is a business of trust, and therefore data privacy, data security world over in all the banks have occupied the attention of the management. So to sum up, I will say that you see availability of huge data. Now we are going to have huge data at us, and communication infrastructure which is going to improve. These are going to be the hallmarks of the coming days. And since banks have similar products, all the banks have same products and services. So the differentiator will be as to who can leverage their capability to who can have the capability to leverage these two phenomena to offer immersive customer experience to the customers, come out with such products that the customers don't go anywhere, and that will be the challenge for the banks, and that will be the roadmap.
Thank you so much, Pradeep ji. I think the one big point which I picked up, which you said, was all banks obviously have the same product. So it will really be the difference in service, difference in customer service. And I think that's where, marketing 4.0 can play a really, really big role. I also like the point which you made that basically banks spend only 5% of what they spend if I have to go to the bank. And I hope the banks start crediting me that money when I do digital banking. So that will be great.
Gradually it will come.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pradeep ji. Girish, from the insurance sector, please tell us, what does marketing 4.0 mean for you?
Sure, Sandeep. Thanks for this. So I like to keep it short. We are in the in-short age now, where you need to be very crisp, and also given that we have lots of panel members here. But three specific points. One, to me, I would say marketing 4.0 is as good as marketing 1.0 or 2.0. I mean, when you started off, you talked about Philip Kotler and his fundamentals of marketing. And that just kind of puts this perspective clear that, if we are talking about somebody who wrote a book, decades back, and we refer to it, it just says that the core remains as it is. That's point number one. The second, I would honestly put, whether you call it marketing 4.0 or whichever, is we need to kind of look at an era which was before COVID, which we may call the old normal, which was about physical interactions, engagements and all, and technology kind of supplemented that part to make it a little more efficient, convenient for us. COVID, the last 10, 11 months kind of made it the other way around, where technology took over and everything else became, something which used to happen long back. So that's how interactions happen, engagement, everything happened virtually. And now we are, so that was a new normal. And I would call this current phase, which we can say relate to marketing 4.0, which I would call as the hybrid normal, wherein now you understand the importance of both. I mean, all of us now understand it's not a great experience to be on a Zoom call and kind of do a panel discussion or even attend meetings. The in-person experience always helps. So we all are trying to do that in terms of having a hybrid experience. So to my mind, marketing 4.0 basically needs to ensure that we provide that hybrid experience to a customer, because you need those elements of empathy and care, which can only be depicted most of the time when you are kind of in touch, close to the customer, and non-verbal skills and all those plays such a big role. So that is the other thing. When it comes to my industry, I mean, we honestly have this very interesting thing. Is honestly our product. When you buy our product, you may end up not using the product at all ever in your life. That is something which is very unique to this industry. I mean, just for example, any of you buys a health insurance, but then ends up not using it because he never got hospitalized. So in that case, the whole experience is not there. All that you have with us is the purchase experience or the renewal experience. Now, in that case, I would say marketing really plays a big role, is because how do we ensure those points of engagement? How do we keep showing you that we can offer you a lot more value beyond the product in this case? And I think that is something which many industries will start facing as this whole hybrid model plays through. So to my mind, that is something we need to kind of, really discuss and get into, because that's where I think marketing, rather than just play a role of, creating demand for a product, would actually make the product stay relevant to the consumer in situations where he is not going to use it at all.
That's a very interesting thought, Girish. Never thought of insurance like that. And I really hope none of you need to use the insurance ever in your life, maybe other than a motor insurance and auto insurance. So thank you so much, Girish. So given the paucity of time, my next, yeah, Pradeep.
Because I got one point left out from the previous, because in bank's perspective, you see the human touch in customer service is especially important. I just wanted to mention a brief point. You see, because banking behavior also involves some situation where that may be a crisis. There may be a need for a personal. All these things cannot be managed by the chatbots. Say you have lost your credit card or debit card, and you call up and you are sent to a chatbot. I mean, is it going to satisfy your requirement? You probably need an emotional assurance from a person, real person, to tell you that, okay, your interest will be taken care. And similar situations are there. So crisis management, intuition-based, contextual, response will always require, probably in any industry, a human interface. That's what I want to say.
Point completely taken. And again, I had raised this point in my opening address itself. So thank you so much for reminding us. Absolutely critical, the point that you're making. So my next question would be for all of you to just tell me one or two trends in marketing 4.0, which you see really taking off in your respective industry. And given that some of us need to leave early, Piyush, do you want to start first on this? Just one or two trends which you see are going to take off.
Okay, so I think one of the things that we have seen very recently was that because now everybody's digital and most of us have our own mobile phones that we use for a lot of decisions and the things that we purchase, and even we engage with the customers. I think the trend that we have seen is to have a very agile UI and user experience in place, so that we can actually touch the customer's mind and customers thought process overall to change on real time basis, and leverage the advantage of so-called free data that's available for our engagement with the customers. And very quickly, the second point is, very soon we will see the millennials and Gen Z being the key decision makers, and these are the digital natives at this point in time. So how do we engage with these generations vis-a-vis the previous ones would be a little different, hence the point of UI and relevant UX for that.
Excellent. Very relevant, Piyush. Thank you so much. Jiten, do you want to go next?
So I think
just one or two trends which you see. Yeah.
Just see, I think what I feel about, I'll build on my previous conversation, that I feel that CRM and the digital journey, this has to get merged, and so this whole analytics and CRM and e-commerce and the omni piece will become like a one flowing pipeline where you can see the customer. And what we are also realizing, things which are recurring in nature in terms of the buying pattern, that can easily move to the e-commerce platform, and things which are exploratory in nature will always have a human touch into it. So whether it is about, so certain things are recurring, it's about getting out of size or something which is going off. But if you're talking about a new design or a new trend, then the customer wants to explore it either on the digital space or come to the store and do it. So I think that piece will continue, and that will create so the ROPO part of research online, purchase offline continues to hold good.
Thank you so much, Jiten. Very snappy answer and very, very clear and relevant. Natalie, you want to go next? Your top two trends.
So top two trends is realizing that the more things change, well, they change. I mean, look at the pandemic, people's buying patterns have totally changed. So you can have plans in place, but they can get thrown totally out the window, within a few months. So really the ability to be agile. And the second trend that we're seeing a lot more is that businesses, and especially in the B2B world, are moving away from your traditional research to more, how should I say, more personalized research in terms of how their key clients are feeling. So moving away from just a tick box to really start to understand how clients are feeling and thinking rather than just using a score.
Thanks, Natalie. Arvind, McDonald's, top 2 trends.
So one is personalization at scale. We are a large brand and the customer base being very high, yet you have to be personalized and build relevance. And as you know, food is so personal, right? Everyone, on this panel itself will have varied food preferences, and yet we have to be making sense for each one of them in terms of our very vast menu. So personalization at scale, and there are various solutions to enable this, be it on our app or on our website, at a customer segment of even one. I think that's one thing. And the second would be, I would say, in terms of consumer experiences at retail, using either virtual reality or augmented reality, and more realistically augmented reality, to kind of enhance the experience at retail. For example, we have birthday party areas, right? And kids do come to McDonald's to have their birthday parties, and there are various solutions there that enrich this experience of the kids and their families in terms of birthday party experiences. Just a couple of trends with some illustrations how some of the trends can really elevate the brand experience.
Thanks a lot, Arvind. Pradeep ji, your top 2 trends for banking going forward?
I think basically this ever-changing customer expectations in the context of marketing 4.0, you will find that all banks will be looking into their own process, organizational structure. There is going to be a massive reform and massive innovation in this part. And unless they do it, they will not survive. And you see I've already said that brick and mortar structure will not be there. So your banking will come into your mobile. It has already come. So basically banking will be in your mobile. And you will have to be very prepared with all the risks that come with the mobile technology. And you'll have to be very, very careful about protecting the customer's data. And that will be a challenge for banks. And they will have to invest in infrastructure accordingly for that. Secondly, what I feel that this review will have to be this reform, innovation, process innovation. This have to be done by the bank at very frequent intervals, because things are changing and they will have to keep update of the time. I mean, this, as I said first, you see these banks which keep up their trends and they try to invest in technology and get up to the customers with the best of the product services, they will survive. Next trend that I find is that we can see in fintech is already started in the financial world, and fintech is one scenario which is going to occupy a major share of the financial transaction, because they are cost effective and they are also improving the quality of financial services. The fintech is basically what is a collaboration of finance and technology and at a platform with fintech you can do crowdfunding very easily, P2P lending, B2B lending. I mean, all these things will become, which a traditional bank may not be able to do so easily. So a time is coming when the traditional banking structure, traditional financial structure, they are getting threatened by the fintechs, and they will have to collaborate with each other to leverage on each other's assets and qualities and come out with best results. Other trends are there, like big data is going to occupy the place. All the banks are going to be occupied with that. New technology like chatbots already started, but chatbots presently are giving us just very simple way of simple use of artificial intelligence. Basically, chatbots have to be more advanced and they have to be prepared to take on to more critical questions from the customer, which it is not being done now. So robotic process automation probably can help in that. RPA is another trend that is coming. And omni-channel, as one of my colleagues said, omni-channel banking also has to go into omni-channel, where your migration from one channel to other channel is very smooth and consistent for customer experience.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Pradeep. Girish, your top two trends for the insurance sector,
Yeah, sure.
a sector whose products we hopefully will never use.
Yeah. It's actually a very weird situation. We also hope you don't use, because then we don't have to pay you claims. But at the end, at the same time, if you don't use, we fear losing you out. But in any case, so two trends from my mind. One I would say is, again, looking back to what has been happening with us for the last 10, 11 months. Now, something interesting that we've seen is, look at the distribution segment, and it cuts across any industry. uh, Distribution has primarily been offline driven, right? In case of our industry, especially, you have agents, you have brokers, right? So you want to buy a motor insurance, you have an agent who will help you out. They've always kind of shied away from an online presence or a completely online presence. That is a trend that we clearly see changing. Today we get more requests from distribution channels saying, help me get online, help me get all the my CRM, make it help me get it online. Which is a quite an interesting things, because that is something we didn't expect. The second, I would say, again, coming more from our industry, but I think it will apply to many. In fact, I was just kind of thinking about this, even in case of McDonald's, for that matter. Customers today, value, and this is again based on our learnings from COVID, when you had to send a lot of communication to them to engage them and things like that. Customers today value a lot more when you are advising them, when you are helping them prevent a problem, rather than when you are telling them about solving a problem. That, to my mind, is a big thing. For example, just kind of taking cue from, say, Arvind's case, as a layman, when I look at a burger today, I would be more happy if McDonald's tell me that, this one has so many calories. And if you want to really consume this, then this is the time of the day you need to consume it so that you stay fit, rather than just talking to me about, it will solve your hunger problem or it's super tasty. So it's suddenly that change that we see in our consumers that help me prevent a problem rather than solve a problem, because as a consumer, I anyway have lots of problems in my life. So if you can help me mitigate a few, that is something which they really feel value adding.
Thanks a lot, Girish, and Arvind. Some tips for you from a consumer, from clearly somebody who's a McDonald's consumer. So I think, given the paucity of time and the fact that some of us need to leave, I would want to close the session here. I think it's been a session where we've seen diverse views coming in. On one side there is the point on fintech raised by Pradeep ji, and then Pradeep ji himself had earlier raised the point on human touch. And I think that, for me, just summarizes the whole aura of Marketing 4.0. Marketing 4.0 is not just fintech. Marketing 4.0 is not just digital and technology. Marketing 4.0 is all about how do you utilize them properly in a way that it comes across and gives the consumer the best experience. I think often what happens is that in the race to adopt new technologies, in the race to be seen as doing the right things, we often forget what we are doing those things for, or who we are doing those things for. So I think as long as we can all remember that it's eventually the consumer who needs to be given the best service experience or the best product, I think we will be able to figure out what the best mix of digital, offline, online, human, and digital is going to be. Yeah. So thank you so much for your very rich contributions, very, very good points, and and for staying on for another 10 more minutes. And back to you, Kesha, to close the
Thank
session.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We want to thank all our panelists. Y'all have been amazing. There was a time constraint, but y'all got to the point and y'all made sure that we had so much to take back. Y'all were concise and so many highlights. So we've got a small ritual going. When I say customer, I'm going to invite you to say fest. I know that we've run out of time, but last 30 seconds, everybody unmute yourself and let's do it together. Are you ready? Yeah,
Yes.
let's get in the human touch, the energy, and all of that right here. Okay, on the count of three, customer,
Fest.
Fest.
Yes.
customer.
Fest.
Fest.
Yes.
Thank you, each and every one.